Which one of my nieces said YouTube? TT Dina, I want to watch YouTube. I can't remember which one of my nieces said YouTube, but welcome YouTube to Beyond the Veil. I am Adina, your gracious hostess for this evening. Before I begin, the rest of my introduction says, if this is your first time here, first and foremost, I'm so glad to meet you. Hey, I'm Adina, and I want you to make yourself home here. I am a woo lady. I am an oracle. I am a medium. So if that is not your thing, I completely understand. And I don't want you to get frustrated here by what I do, so you can see yourself out so that you don't think that I'm a crazy lady, but I appreciate you stopping by. If you don't mind what I do here and you're just a little curious, you're welcome to stay. It's just people tend, once they find out what I do here, to get a little rude, and I don't want that. And I want you guys to know that I welcome you here, but I also send you away if I'm not your cup of tea, with blessings and gratitude. And if you are a regular member here, regular viewer, and OG Blessed Baby, happy Monday, happy day of the moon. How y'all doing? Please let me know how you doing when you get in here, because I see a few of y'all in here and nobody said nothing. Ain't nobody told me nothing. So come on in, make yourselves at home so that we can get this party on the road. But please tell me how you're doing this Monday. As far as me and my house, we're doing great. Blessings and abundance. Hey again, Tiara. Welcome back. Welcome back. I already know how you doing today. Speaking, this just fell out of my purse, and it was about this big, Tiara. It was about this big. A Tootsie Roll was too small, but a fun-size Snicker bar, this what it was. It was this big. I just finished a nail. It was this big. Y'all know what I'm talking about. What we was just talking about on our doctorate degree live. And somebody said Tootsie Roll. It wasn't like that. It was more like this. Hey, sissy. Hi, boo. We just had an old fun, spicy ass. We look good twerking in them bathing suits. Hey, 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 hey. Y'all gotta be following my Instagram to see me shaking ass and doing my little left cheek, right cheek on the yacht. Thank you, sissy. I ain't even show, because I ain't want to put my girls out there like that, but it was way more better ass shaking videos than that. We was all over the high seas doing the absolute most, but I was like, no, these is professional ladies. And I can't share too much because everybody got good jobs and good careers. But yes, a time was definitely had on the yacht. And now that I've gotten my life back together, you know, got my phone back, got my license back. Somebody lost their watch, they found it. Somebody lost money, they ain't gonna get that back. Everybody lost some shit. But it was a great time. And yes, it was great because we are all professional women. Almost everybody, well, pretty much everybody on the boat has a degree. Some have several. Some of them got good government jobs and stuff like that. So I ain't want to show too much because all of us have images to uphold. But you know what I'm saying? Professional girls, we deserve to be able to hop on a yacht and cut up too. And we absolutely did. As a matter of fact, them bitches called us this week talking about, do we want to come back this weekend and get on another yacht. I was like, hell no, hell no, hell no. First of all, my birthday dinner cruise is this Saturday because my birthday is next Tuesday. Oot, oot. Shout out to October 7th and shout out to me for turning 38 and looking 28. Ew. Ew. Yes. So my birthday dinner cruise is booked and paid for um, on Saturday, and I got booked to host somebody's bridal shower. I shared that with you guys as a testimony for the Crown of Success. I ain't never hosted nothing but my family reunion and little family stuff that they be asking me to do because they know I'm lit. Thank you, Omer. But somebody be taking me serious, and somebody was like, no, we'll pay you to host my friend's bridal shower. So that's Friday. I have my first real MC gig on Friday, and I'm finna turn them people up. They don't even know what they done paid for. They don't even know. They don't know. But I'm finna get them right, and I'm so excited. Y'all, hey, book me to come MC all parties. I'm lit. I'm lit. I'm just kidding. No, I'm for real, but I'm not. Okay, anyways. So they were just like, yeah, so my friend them got a bow and they need, they was telling me they need, some girls, because it's some guys that got a yacht. And they was telling my friend to call her friends that was on the yacht with her this other weekend and tell them to come get on their yacht. And I was like, nah, I can't. I got too much shit to do. And I already said, this is my last hoorah. I'm going to get on this yacht with y'all. And then I'm going to go on my birthday dinner cruise. And that's it for the next year and a half because I have to focus. And I always feel guilty when I turn up or when I take a little vacation because that's time away from work. So, nope. Auntie going to be focused for the rest of the year. No more yachts for now. Unless somebody sends me an offer I cannot refuse. But I don't even know them dudes. So I'm gonna have to pass up on that because I gotta focus. I got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of work to do, real estate and with this channel. Anyways, welcome to everyone that's joining me. God bless you guys. Happy Monday. Welcome to Beyond the Veil. I usually give my little introduction as soon as I go live, but that's before anybody gets in here. So now that I have people in here, welcome to Beyond the Veil. If you didn't know where you were, I'm Adina. I am your gracious hostess with the mostest and your resident crazy lady. And around here, just in case you don't know what I do around here, I do readings. I am a medium. I am a woo lady. If that's not your thing, I completely understand. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I appreciate you coming here. And if you feel the need to leave, may you do so with blessings. And if you want to stick around, welcome. I hope you find a nice, comfy place here amongst all the other crazy people in here with me. Thank you. Thank you, sissy. I wasn't even really excited about my birthday until, I don't know, I'm actually not. Probably won't be until my dinner cruise. Because I never really get that excited about birthdays. And it was Daquan who told me to celebrate. I didn't even have any plans. I wasn't going to do shit except for work. But Daquan said, you earned a right to celebrate. You deserve to celebrate. And I was like, okay, so I am. So shout out to you guys. I'm hungry. So, because if you're hungry, why wait? Grab a Snicker. That's what they said. Thank you, Keisha. Woo! Woo! That's me celebrate myself. Now, I flashed everybody in the live that I just got off of, but it was only a couple of us in there, and they pay good money. But I can't flash y'all because there's too many of y'all in here. But I'm about that life. Y'all catch me at a red light, cheeks out, titties out, who knows? In the headlights, twerking in the red lights. That's what I do. I've been doing that since I was a jit. And just because you asked, Luke kept, I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. Put the camera angle a little higher. All y'all see is chi-chis. All y'all see is chi-chis. Let me see if I can put it up a little higher, because Jordy said, I feel like I'm getting breastfed. I need you to lift your camera up so I don't feel like I got my mouth on your teeter totters. Is this a little bit better? I pulled the camera back. Let me know if that's a little bit better, so y'all don't feel like I'm breastfeeding y'all. Jordy said, I didn't sign up for this. I ain't no lesbian. I ain't sign up for you to put your chi-chis in my mouth. I'm so sorry. Come to Germany. I've been there. I did 18 months in Germany when I was in HR. I did global HR. And so I did HR for not just our corporate office, which was in Fort Lauderdale, but I oversaw HR for the Hong Kong office. And then when my boss wanted to open up an office in Germany, he sent me and my boss to go and recruit. Germany. I've been to Germany. I did a bid. I don't need you to sub. I don't need your sub. Thank you, Tiara, because your sub is not worth my tickle bitties. I'm sorry, but you ain't got it. You can't afford it. Just take this. And now he can't even take that because Tiara done took him out of here. Anyways, how y'all doing this Monday, this day of the moon? You guys good? Do I mind gobbling? Let me get my bell because we're going to be ringing, phoning up the spirits today. And let me find my Florida water. All right, you guys. Yes, JD, you ain't even say hi. You came straight up in here talking about tig-old bitties. This is why I love my members. If you don't care, Kobe, let me get you out of here, honey, so you can find you a place that you care about. Hey, somebody saying they got my... That's the person who hired me to MC. They're like, we got your invoice and we're paying it. Y'all, I didn't know. Anyways, I didn't know nothing about... Anyways. All right. Thank you, Jamie, for being my new subscriber. This is my floating heart to you. I thought that said Drewski TV. That says Dresky. You tricked me. You tricked me, Dresky. I thought your name said Drewski. Hey, D-Town. Is D-Town Detroit? Where y'all from? Rip your set in the chat. I want to give everybody a shout out. Hey, D-Town Queen Bee. I don't know where you from, but that sounds like Detroit. Where y'all from? Rep your set. Hey, Chi-Town, Chirac. Wait, let me ring the bell. Hey, Chicago. Hey, Detroit in the house. South Africa. Sweden. Hey. Cleveland, Ohio. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Tell me what. Speaking of boom. Uh-huh. Ain't nothing like money in a Ziploc bag. Smash with a cash. Jay, I bet you don't know about that song. I bet you don't know about that. Ain't nothing like money in a Ziploc bag. Listen, look it up. Thank me later. North Carolina, go on and raise up. Take your shirt off. Twist it around your head, sing like a helicopter. Hey, oh, you know about that? Where I'm from? Florida. Florida. Keisha, I ain't see where you was from. Wait, Louisville. Hey, Kentucky Fried in the building. Hey, Kentucky Fried in the building. Phoenix. This is me rising like a phoenix out of the ashes in the biddy. New Jersey. Hey, my auntie in Jersey. Newark. Keisha, I didn't see. Originally from Toronto. Okay, Drake. Okay, Kiki. Is you Kiki that Drake was talking about? Do you love him? Shout out to Toronto. Wait, I'm trying to do my Toronto accent. Oh, Lord. How do you do a Toronto accent? Is that a Jamaican accent? Do I use a Jamaican accent for a Toronto accent? What is the... Because Drake talks like a very... I don't know. I feel like in order to do a Toronto accent, I got to do patois. Trinidad, now you in Texas. Trinidad and Tobago. Carnival. All right. Denver, Colorado. Weed is legal there. Weed is legal there. Hey. Youngstown, Ohio, another Bone Thug. Shout out to the Bone Thugs in the bitty Bumbleclot, eh? Somebody said Toronto accent, say Bumbleclot, then A. Bumbleclot, eh? It's legal in Chicago and Detroit, too. Hey, Richmond, Virginia. Shout out to Virginia. Woo. Y'all got me tired. Where's Auntie Fan? Ooh, it's all the way over there. I need my go-go gadget arm, but it don't work. Ugh. Woo. You know, speaking of weed, this is what I roll mine up in. Might not be legal here, but they gotta catch me if they can. Shout out to the grabber leaves. Everybody who roll it up in the real leaf and not the blunt. Shout out to the leaf gang. Leaf gang. Fuck backwoods. I like grab a leaf. Wanna know why? Because you get more leaf. You get more leaf. You get more bang for your buck. Look at that big old... See, this is... I've been using it, so it ain't that much leaf yet. It's just stem. But usually... usually, all of this is leaf, but I done blowed it down. I done blowed it down. Yeah, I do voodoo. You scared? Shout out to the Lou. Now let me ask you, man, what does it take to be number one? 2 is not a winner, and 3 nobody remembers. That's for St. Louis. Erica, welcome to the doctorate degree program. Am I Haitian? I gotta be Haitian to do voodoo? I ain't black enough? The Zoes love me, but no, I'm not Haitian. But we all African, though. My name Kodak, but I look Haitian. No, but the Zoes love me. Sak passe, maboule. No, I was initiated into voodoo, though. That's the first system I worked with. I'm a Lauderdale girl. So when you from Broward or Dade, same, right? Everybody Haitian. Everybody Haitian. Yes, yes, I'm a Zoe. I never had a problem getting hoes. Making this music, all I know. So hold on tight, cause I'm a blow. Beating down in the shed. I lived in Royal Palm, right off Oakland. Right off of Oakland. I lived in Royal Palm. You know, behind that neighborhood behind the blue store. And you know what the blue store is. So yeah. But yeah, if you lived in Oakland and you know about, the swap shop and the flea, I lived I mean, I wouldn't recommend walking, but you could walk from my house to um the swap shop. I wouldn't recommend walking to the flea, but people did. Okay, shout out Fort Pierce. I heard that's where the Zoes at. Somebody said Fort Pierce is where the Zoes is. Hey, Miami in the building. Okay, Liberty City. I went to Florida Memorial for college. Almost shook ass in Foxy Lady. Shh. Shh. I almost was a stripper. Almost did. My freshman year in college, I almost did because they ain't let us have I couldn't have no car on campus. And so I couldn't really get no job. So I sure almost did shake ass at Foxy Lady. And I actually went down and they gave me a name too. I had to take my clothes off for the man. I had to bend over and shake my ass a little bit. And he gave me a name. I just never showed up. Y'all want to know what my stripper name was that the man at Foxy Lady gave me? Slim Goody. But I had a man and I was scared that my man was gonna find out. So I ain't never go back the next day. Cause I had a good man, Savannah, and I said, I'm gonna just make him help me out. I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. He said he walked around me a couple times and said, "Yeah, Slim Goody." I said, "Oh shit." He said, "Come back tomorrow at 6, Slim Goody." I said, I know you motherfucking lying. I ain't coming back here. Does he know? I don't know. Me and my ex-husband were together for 13 years. I don't know. But I probably told him. Cause I be telling my tea after it expire. I'ma tell it. After it expire, after it ain't no good to sip, then I'ma tell it. He sure did do me like Dollar Bill. I can't remember what the man looked like, but I think he was short. And I walked in and he said, "All right, take that shit off." I'm from Florida. That's where my country ass from. He said, "Take that shit off." And I took that shit off. He said, "Turn around." Been that ass over. I just left Miami the other weekend. Mr. Antoine, I was in Biscayne on the 41st floor in a penthouse of somebody's high rise, and we was on a yacht shaking ass. I just left Miami. I lost my phone, my wallet, and Bayfront getting off the yacht. I just got my shit back. It was lit. We was lit, okay? I just came back. No, Auntie turning 38 next Tuesday. Let me get back to work. I can't do it all the time. Do I like Diddy party? I ain't never been to no Diddy party, and I wouldn't get invited. I wouldn't go. Fun fact, I done got invited to a few celebrity shindigs when I was at Florida Memorial. Fun fact, I ain't gonna say who it was, but I think I shared with my members before who it was. But I was in my Florida Memorial days because I was outside in college. We went to KOD, and there was a celebrity in there with their significant other, and they was rounding bitches up to get back on their bus with them to come back to their room, to wherever they were staying. And I was one of the girls round up along with my roommates and stuff. And my roommate went. I didn't go because I ain't no hoe. I ain't on that hoe shit. I'm here for a good time. What made y'all say that? What? Why y'all? Who said that? Anyways, Does this celebrity love collecting rabbit teeth? I don't know. I don't fucking know. But I didn't go because I hang out, I have fun. But you know, Auntie draw the line somewhere. And even back then, a lot of celebrities have significant others, guys. Anyways, my roommate went. I didn't go. A lot of people do that, sissy. A lot of celebrities do that. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Just hang out in Miami for a little bit. Just hang out in Miami for a little bit. I told y'all how I almost got trafficked, and it was by somebody's street team. So it was lit though. I had a time, but Auntie got some stories to tell. Anyways, you guys got me a little lit. Did your roommate come with the stories? Of course. My roommate, she was actually really pretty, and she holds a kind of prestigious. She lives a good girl life now. She's the wife of a commissioner. So all of her secrets I will keep till the death. Actually, all of my roommates, one of them is a news anchor. One of them is married to a commissioner. I'll keep all of their secrets forever. And they did a whole lot of shit I didn't because I had a lot of freedom growing up from my mom. Like I was able to do stuff. I guess so when I got to college, you know, for me it's just okay, I'm finna turn up, but I ain't, I know when to turn down. They were different though, because my roommates were from Boca. And Boca is, you know, that's the nicer part of the Tri-County. You gotta have some money to live in Boca. They had good, almost, you know, upper middle class upbringings. So when they got to college, they was living. They was living. They was living. And I lived too, but I wasn't as green as them. So, and I had a man. And and you know, I had a man. He ended up my husband. I ain't do too much, but times were had. Anyways, I'm going to cleanse my hand because around here I don't just, you know, turn up with you guys. I am a medium and I'm very good at what I do. And I came here to read, or it's Monday. Monday is a good day to talk to the dead because it's the day of the moon. So it is the day, it's the spirits day. The moon rules waters, spirits, water. And well, the good book said that in the beginning, the earth was formed and without void, and there was darkness, and the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. And we know that the moon hovers over the waters. And if the world was dark and without form, then there was only the moon. And the moon really isn't a luminary of its own. So it would have been dark. It wouldn't have emitted any light of its own until there was a light to be shown through the moon. I will show you because in esoteric circles, even in the tarot, by the creators of the tarot, they put that secret in the tarot about the moon being the spirit of God, not a luminary, but the Spirit of God here present with us at all times. They put that in the card as a secret, but only the wise would know that to be able to put it together. And I'll show you that esoteric secret. So Mondays are perfect for speaking to the ancestral realms and the spirit realms. So that's when I like to do the most medium work. The moon card. You see that face in the moon? That's why there's a face in the moon card, but it's closed. Because after the earth was created, it said God rested. But it didn't say it disappeared, right? So the Spirit of God still hovers over the waters. It still affects the waters. But the eyes are closed because God, or the creative force, has retreated. It's no longer in its creation stage. After everything was created, after that, we are the active creative forces on earth. That's why we were given the ability to be fruitful, multiply, and subdue the earth. Because after it's created, here, it's yours now. You populate it, you grow it, you develop it, but I'll still be here. Just not in the as the active creative force that I was, because now I created you. Now I do all my real work through you. But my spirit, so that's how I want you guys to start appreciating the moon now. All right. We are going to construct the spirit, soul, and collective energy of the Queen Mother, Assata Shakur. Now, because we know that the feds be watching this channel, because, well, the feds can get a lot of information from this channel. I've worked with some of the feds before. Not the feds, but a couple of police departments on a case or two. And I'm aware, that they be lurking, they be watching. And I also know that was it the FBI, somebody, the Patel guy, didn't he come out trying to punish us because people were mourning Assata and they feel like we shouldn't be mourning her? So I already know that this live might be watched, but I'm not going to be unapologetic about the fact that I am celebrating the life and the peaceful passing of Assata Shakur. There will be no mistakes made about that here. So if they were wondering if I am celebrating her life and her being able to pass from natural causes, I am. However, I'm going to call her up and speak to her and let her speak about her life from herself. And if you're new here, that's why I have the audience that I do, over 3,000 subscribers. It's not because I just be telling y'all stories about my past. They're here because of my special eyes, the ones that are behind these. Most of the people in my live that you see chatting with me are my clients. So these people are not strangers to what I do. They most of who you see in here pay me for my services because they believe in them. So buckle up. This is all for entertainment purposes, of course, because I'm a crazy lady, right? Talking to the dead. Who can do that? Who said that? Seeing the unseen and all of that. Yeah, that's what we do around here. And that's a matter for my kind. An ancestor of the original Black Dove, the Sibyls, the Oracles. I carry their mantle now amongst many other Black Doves singing in the dead of night. And we do it proudly around here. If this is not your thing, God bless you. It was fun while we was turned up. But feel free to go before you get yourself in any hot water trolling me in my live. Because not only am I a seer, I am an OG woo lady. Okay? And, well, it ain't safe as an op. All right? So let's just shift gears here because I'm about to bring myself to the place that I need to be in order to speak. I see blue. I see blue in my eyes. Sometimes a royal blue though, not the blue that I usually see representing the dead. Usually when I conjure up the dead, I close my eyes and I see what is this 100? You sent me a gift? Thank you. I don't even know what that means, but it's provocative. You sent me $100? Is that what that means? The smoking auditor, it says the smoking auditor sent 100. You sent me $100? A big blue face hunyon? God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Is that for my birthday or is that just for Me giving goddess. All right. So I got my bell because this is it's a gift. Oh, I thought it said 100. I was like, oh, okay. And you sent a thumbs up. The smoking auditor. Mwah. The 919. What's that? No, another North. You know what? I love the Carolinas. Fun fact. My paternal ancestors were brought to these beautiful states and dropped off in Luray. Is it South Carolina? Small town. Let me Google. Facts from my grandmother. Luray. Is it South or North? I think it's South Carolina. Luray, South Carolina. That is where my paternal ancestors were brought and dropped off on plantations in Luray, South Carolina. I believe, according to Google, during the 2010 census, the population was 127 people. So it's technically not even a real town anymore. It says Luray is a town in Hampton County, South Carolina. The population was 115 during the 2000 census. So it was mainly for slaves, I suppose, because that's where my ancestors were brought. But it seemed like ain't nobody there no more. Now, fun fact. According to legend in my family, as told to me directly from my grandmother, Florence Williams Ray, she said her grandfather was a slave on a plantation in Luray, South Carolina, and black people own black people. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not talking about that. And it's always somebody coming in here to try to minimize. Bitch, there ain't nobody talking about black people owning no black people. Black people own black people in Africa too. It's a lot different from what the fuck y'all did, though. Y'all went and tried to subdue the whole earth. The whole motherfucking earth. The whole motherfucking earth. And we weren't doing what y'all were doing to each other. So don't worry about black on black crime. Worry about what the fuck y'all did. Don't worry about what go on in our house. How about that? Anyways, y'all worry about why y'all was bothering us. We'll deal with what we doing with each other, but y'all ain't had no business doing what y'all did to us. Y'all should have stayed in your own motherfucking place. So don't come up in here with that shit, okay? Anyways, according to my grandmother, who is a proud lady, my paternal family are very proud people. Very proud, very proud. They'll fight before they bow. They'll die before they bow. Well, according to my grandmother, interesting argument. Luke, I feel a block in my spirit coming for you. I'm gonna let you simmer, but I foresee a block for you. I foresee in my mind's eye you getting blocked. Anyway, she said, well, her grandfather was a slave, and one day his master spit in his face. And my grandmother said that he got into a scuffle with massa, took massa's gun, took massa to glory, and hauled ass. Made his way to Florida, to Bronson, Florida, where they were during Rosewood. And when the Rosewood massacre happened, according to my grandmother, who was alive during that time, they helped. They hid some of those refugees in their home, and they protected them with their arms because they bought that life. And my grandmother proudly said, and not nan one that we hid was found. So I have a special love for South Carolina because that's where my ancestors were brought, and that's where their owners fucked around and found out. Shout out to the ancestors. Shout out to the Gullah Geechees. Speaking of ancestors, back to Assata. I can definitely do that, but that requires a consultation, Brandy. BeyondTheVeilAdina@gmail.com. Message me, set up a consultation, and yes, I've talked to a few people in this chat, loved ones, and passed them messages that they were able to relate to. I speak to the dead very well. I've been a medium before anything else. Seeing the dead and seeing spirits are a part of my very earliest memories. Earliest memories. All right. All right, let's shift gears, you guys. Everybody breathe. Breathe with me. Most High Mother and Father God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day of the moon as the Spirit of God hovers over the earth. Thank you for the Spirit of God that is within all of us. If the Spirit of God hovers over the waters, and we are made up of at least 70% water, makes sense that the Spirit of God would be within all of us who have a spirit. So I give thanks on this day of the moon to the spirits. Thank you to the ancestors and the spiritual realms that hold them. Thank you for the ancestors that walk amongst us and through us. Thank you for their lives, their sacrifices, the stories untold, victories unrecorded, tragedies forgotten, voices forgotten, bodies forgotten, families broken, forgotten, hunted while innocent, hunted while innocent, hunted while peaceful. Thank you for the strength that runs through our veins, that's in our melanin, makes us strong, makes the skin more sturdy, makes the hair more coarse, more able to hold up, makes the immune system stronger, makes the spirit stronger. Thank you. Thank you to the ancestors. Thank you to Assata Shakur. I don't pray to mountain gods because my ancestors were not from the Caucasus Mountains, Indy. Let me get you up out of here. Actually, let me let you stay. I don't have mountain gods. No. I have creator gods. Creator gods. You found your gods in the mountains as a wanderer and a vagabond. You remember, it's in your DNA. You and your ancestors were kicked out for being murderous and violent, for being full of hate. Kicked out, marked so the whole world would know who you were and how to deal with you. No, I don't consider all Europeans the same. I do not. I consider you one of them, though. Now you are dismissed. Shout out to the not so melanated people who aren't the seed of Cain, who aren't full of hate. Shout out to Papa Faquette for being a real one and holding my busted baby down. Shout out to my white ancestors who fell in love with my black ass ancestors. They in my lineage, well, the ones that I know of, The latter ones, they fell in love with the Black D. Now, the ones that predate me being in the United States, well, they probably took it like they was taking shit. So I'm not shouting them out. But shout out to the ancestors that I have that are European that fell in love with the cocoa. Because how hard would it have been for them to fall in love with the cocoa back then? But they did. They did. Shout out to the Europeans who said, you know what? I acknowledge that we done did some fucked up shit, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to repeat that, even if my ancestors did. Shout out to you. Now, I don't know about you coming to my cookout, but you can definitely, I FaceTime you from it. You know what I'm saying? That's, yeah, the cookouts are sacred though. Cookouts are ceremonial. But we gonna FaceTime you from the cookout and we gonna all wave and say, hey, we'll bring you a plate. Carl, I ain't mad at you, Carl. It's hard not to fall in love with, ain't it? Ain't it? See, that's how my white ancestors got in my lineage. Because people like you, Carl, falling in love with the cocoa. Y'all can't help yourselves, and I get it. I get it. Huh? What's not to love? All right. Give me a moment to breathe and take myself to the waters. Most High Mother and Father God, Most High Divine Mother, spirits leave Father God out of this only. Speak to the Mother. Most High Divine Mother, please allow me to conjure up the spirit, the soul, the collective energy of the recently departed Assata Shakur. I know that she is in the ancestral realms right now somewhere, so please allow me to humbly find where her spirit, soul, and collective energy is, and speak to her face to face. Assata, no, they say her name with power. Assata Shakur, Assata Shakur, Assata Shakur. Come. I smell Spanish food. I hear Spanish music. And I see Spanish Santeria, Brujeria. I see a ceremony going on. I see a sacrifice taking place. I think that this was at the beginning of Assata's entry into Cuba. There were things done to fortify her and to keep her protected. There were rituals done in Cuba to keep her protected. Very, very, very powerful rituals. I ain't talking about a couple chickens or a couple goats. Is that a bull or a cow? I see a few things, but I definitely see a bull. And I feel like it was the Cubans who suggested doing this for her, doing this ritual to keep her protected. I even see some Haitians there. Haitians in Cuba? I don't know, but I see Haitians in Cuba. I see a big, 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 big ceremony. I believe that obviously there were a lot of people involved and invested in, excuse me, there's the burping. I ain't did that in a long time when talking to a spirit. There were, obviously, we know that Cuba was invested into keeping Assata safe, but what that looked like, boots on the ground, it wasn't just, they didn't just use their political force to keep her safe. They used spirituality to keep her safe as well. Skip Zakan, you see me sitting here divining with my eyes closed and you ask me about tarot? Get the fuck out of here. Don't ask me no questions. When you come up in here, don't interrupt me with questions because I'm going to take you as a troll. The only questions you ask is once I start reading. Don't ask me questions about what I'm doing. Is this tarot, all that stuff, because you're trolling me. Assata. Assata Asylum. Assata Asylum. Assata Asylum. Miss Assata Shakur, please allow me to speak to your spirit, soul, and collective energy face to face. Am I permitted to speak with Assata? What is this? Not yet? Okay. I feel like I need some drums, some drumming music, but I don't want to catch a copyright. RB. Thank you, my dear. It's upside down because I'm speaking with the dead, but I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm about to pull her up in 1 second. I want to hear some drumming music, though, because I keep seeing this ritual. I need to hear at least a clip of some drumming. And I was just listening to some last night. So it's still here in my, because I did a ceremony last night. So it's still here. Just for a second. I ain't gonna let it play too much because YouTube gonna get me. They obviously wanted her dead. They didn't care about getting her alive. They wanted her dead. They wanted her dead. They didn't want her alive. This figure is holding up the 2 fingers that the Hierophant is holding up. This is a pact, a truce. Deliver her alive. We'll take her alive and we won't hurt her. We'll throw her in jail. We promise. At some point, we'll take her dead too. But they wanted her alive at first, or they said, just give her to us peacefully so that we can lock her up. They would have killed her if they got her. They didn't want her alive. They wanted to kill her. They were fibbing what they said they wanted to do with her, I believe. Allegedly. And all of this is alleged and according to my opinion. There was a troll in here that said this lady's batshit crazy. Sure. Sure. For entertainment purposes only. Sure. That's not the drumming that I wanted, though. There was another one I was listening to last night. Oh, the leg butt invocation. I call the ancestors on Ira Parker for interrupting me while I am calling up the ancestors in the Queen Mother Assata Shakur, and I ask that the ancestors swiftly descend upon any other motherfucker that come in here trying to troll while I'm trying to conjure up the Queen Mother Assata Shakur. May they visit you in your sleep while you're trying to rest. May they visit you when you awake, when you're trying to live. May they be obstacles and challenges and stumbling blocks to you in all your endeavors, including trolling me. So be it. And when I say ancestors, that's the jinn. Those are the imps and the elementals too. Have the day that you deserve. If I need Jesus, you call on Jesus. I just sent curses to you. You call on Jesus and see if he help you. Let's see. I call on my spirits and you call on your Jesus. Let's see. I wish you can come back and tell me, but even if you wasn't blocked, I don't think you'd come back here. I'm starting to feel a little pain here in my head. I don't know what her natural causes were. I don't think it was a headache or anything, but there's something going on here. Assata Shakur, please allow me to speak to your spirit, soul, and collective energy. Oh, a card was hiding away from me. Okay, I got her. Assata, 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 Assata. Assata Shakur, please talk to me about your life, your activism, and what really happened that caused you to be hunted down by the United States government and protected by the Cuban government. If not today, Erica, then the next day. Even if you escape this lifetime without learning valuable lessons, your soul will reincarnate into another body and you will learn. So it's best learn here so that you don't spend the next several lifetimes not evolving because you done fucked around and found out. Assata, talk to me about whatever it is that your soul would like to say now that it is departed. And since you spent the bulk of the last years of your life being hidden, protected from the American government. Well, the story of her life is about her having to flee and being wedged in between one country and another country and their politics. It seems as though in her days, when they put her on the list and when they were actively searching for her, they did the best that they could to find her. And it feels like they didn't have all of the technological advances back then that they do now. They would have loved to go into Cuba and get her, but they couldn't do that. Cuba was ready to fight them if they dared to come into their country like they own it. Cuba wasn't going to allow that. It feels like if Cuba says no, the only way you can come get her is if we allow you to come over here and don't fuck with us. We don't fuck with y'all like that. So if you come over here, we will meet you on whatever time you own. I do believe that Cuba had a political motivation initially for their protecting of her. But I think once they got to know her, they fucked with her. They considered her one of their own because she Black and African, and so is their ancestry there, a lot of their ancestors there. So they saw her as family. They saw her as family. You African, we got African roots, them people. And I don't know what Cuba and the United States relationship was at the time for them to take such a stance, because I was a young girl, but it had to have been not completely diplomatic and friendly, because obviously they didn't let them have her. Cuba wanted to make sure that they asserted themselves. And I feel something very ancestral about Cuba. This is making me really like Cuba, despite my bad experiences with Miami Cubans. There might be a distinct difference from Cubans in Cuba and Cubans that find themselves in the United States, especially Miami Cubans, because it's so racist on the other side of the bridge. It's so racist. Some of my I've never really experienced prejudice like that outside of some Hispanic people, to be honest. Um, I'm not your little brown sugar, and I hate white chocolate. I despise white chocolate. Shout out to the cocoa. I don't even like macadamia because it tastes like white chocolate. I ain't trying to offend y'all white men, but you gotta be godly. It's a goddess. You gotta be a god to fuck with this, because you can't handle it. I like my men godly. Real, real, real godly. They just give off real godly energy. I chewed it like that because I wanted to, Linwood. Challenging. That's Cuba saying we don't give no fuck about what y'all want. This is the United States saying, here, we'll be your friend. If you give her to us, we'll be your friend. Do not call me girl. I'm not your girl. You don't know me like that. And I'm probably older than you. I'm finna be 38 years old. I am not one of your little friends. Don't you ever come in here calling me girl. And you spelled Joanna Man wrong, troll. You said Joanna Man. It's Joanna Man. Stop being in black people culture and they movies and stuff if you don't know what it's called. Anyways. Oh, y'all. The trolls are in here because y'all know they don't like us celebrating Assata. So the racists will be in here. Don't mind me, and I'll try not to mind them. But every now and then when I look down at my screen, I'm going to see them, and I might say something. Don't say, okay, girl. I am not a girl. I'm not your little friend. I'm a grown-ass woman. I ain't been a girl in a long time. This is Cuba sitting under their tree in Cuba saying, we don't care what you offer us. We don't care what you ask of us, and we don't care what you offer us. It seems to me that the United States, before, they were just all out like, fuck it, it's beef. I think that they tried a little diplomacy. I think they offered Cuba things. This makes me respect Cuba a whole lot more, not just for housing and giving asylum to Assata, but saying we don't give a fuck what y'all ask for or what you offer. There was something more valuable for them. And why they kept Assata, some of it was spiritual based. At least one of those reasons that they didn't give her up was spiritual based. They had a spiritual value. Maybe ancestral is what I want to say. Now, this would be Assata seeking asylum in the past. This would be her fleeing for her life, but fleeing from people who are pursuing her. This also makes me think that something is amiss with the crime that they said she committed. Look at all these bullets. It makes me think that one of the police bullets were the ones that took out Black culture ain't Compton, so take your negative racement assessment out comments and then white finger snap. I guess you just told me, J Mills. How can I be racist? I don't have any institution to keep you out of. I don't have no chains to keep you in. I ain't even asked you to be here in Black people business. I'm busy, Nyla. When I'm done, TT will come out. Okay? My nieces and nephews are here. Always in Black people business and getting offended. Like I was saying, this makes me feel something is amiss with some of the bullets that were flying that day. I know she got shot, and I know that they said she shot an officer. I would beg, this makes me feel like the bullet that shot that officer and the bullet that shot Assata were from the same team. Now, after all of that, she spent her days happy as fuck, peaceful as fuck in Cuba. She might not have she might have had a little boo. I don't think she was married, but I'm sure, she dated a little bit and, got her rocks off a little bit, found her a nice poppy over there to, spend her days with. And even if she didn't, she was very welcomed in their community. Welcomed. Welcomed. And she loved them and they love her. And we, meaning us Black people, we love her. We love her. Nyla, turn that TV down. It's too loud. Y'all must think a nigga scared of y'all. Now, this is them wanting her dead. They wanted her head. If they would have gotten their hands on her, they might have decapitated her and might have done something really occulty to her body to desecrate it, to desecrate her spirit. If they got their hands on her, they would have desecrated her body. Absolutely. Off with her head. And they would have told us that she was in a prison and we would have never known what really came of her. They would have told us that she would be locked away somewhere, but she wouldn't have been alive. And the only reason they weren't able to do that was because for some reason the US didn't want too much smoke with Cuba. As powerful as the United States was back then, it was more powerful than it is now. I smell that they didn't want smoke for real. That's why they never got her. United States will run up in anybody's country and start a war. They didn't do that though. I have a theory about why, and in my mind I hear it. Yes, they had that shit, the woo. I think the United States government was afraid of their rituals. They had been in Haiti, you know, the Clinton administration, all of them, they had been in Haiti and had done their own rituals. So they are aware of the woo. They remember what it how it helped Haiti. They know about our power more than we do. That's why they told us it's evil. That's why they demonized it so that we don't use it. But I bet you Bill and Hillary was over there and doing voodoo ceremonies. I bet you they was. I bet you they was. I bet you they was. And I bet you they wasn't sacrificing goats. So they know. And they didn't want that. They didn't want the whole Cuba doing a big ritual like what Haiti did to them. They didn't want that. They were scared of Haiti. I mean, scared of Cuba. I smell the fear. Now, this would be Assata, and this is her sneaking away, creeping away, a political, a wanted person by the United States government, but also being protected by another country's government. And she had a lot of information. She had some tea. I believe that Asada would have told about what really happened that day where they accused her of shooting that officer. But there was also things she knew about the government that they didn't want out, most likely by through her experience in activism and with the Panthers. I believe she was set up. I believe that at the time, the United States government was doing what they could to completely dismantle the Black Panther Party and all of its leaders, all of its most polarizing activists. And I believe she was one of them for some reason, something she was caught up in. Not saying that it was bad, but she was one of the ones that they needed to get rid of to dismantle the Panthers. And I think she knew things about the governments and some things that they had done. And I believe she was set up. I believe she was completely lied on. Now, how the world sees Asada now that she's passed away, a martyr. They see her as a martyr, a hero, somebody who probably had valuable information, and a hero, a saint, who even though she was wanted, they wanted to hang her, she was chilling all the way until the day she died, chilling, arms folded, legs crossed, even being wanted. Hopes and fears, and what never happened was her being locked up for the rest of her life by the United States government. And she did pass away from health issues, natural causes. But before then, she enjoyed her life in Cuba, surrounded by the birds and the fresh vegetation, probably a garden, fresh food, you know, not like the nasty food we have here full of poison. She had good food. She was welcome. She lived a good life and passed away from natural causes. So since we know that, I'm more interested. I see the Black Panther Party being infiltrated by this knight here. That's the Black Panther Party being infiltrated, wolf in sheep's clothing. And then this is probably Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, one of their leaders that passed, that was taken out, that changed everything for the party. That's when it start collapsing. This could be Malcolm or Fred Hampton, one of them. That is when they start actively trying to take down the Black Panther Party with the death of maybe Fred Hampton. I believe Fred Hampton. Because they did infiltrate him too. That was how they did things back then. That was the method that they used. They sent somebody in that seemed like an ally into the organizations to set them up, take out the leaders. She was one of them. And I believe she had information about how the government was behind the assassinations of these people. Seven of Swords. So you made your scream name "Every Knee Will Bow" just to come in here? I don't bow. I don't bow. Your knees are going to bow. Mine stand up. I said that this is her, I believe, this is her going away for asylum, but I also think she was set up. Set up. The death that they chained her to, I don't believe it. I believe she was set up, and I believe that they probably took out their own. Look at the devil lighting the fire on her tail. Wait, that's a his. Is that a his or a her? His tail. This is the man. This is the woman. So the system took out one of their own just to be able to chain her to it. Whether it was accidentally in the heat of all the gunfire and they struck one of their own, it wasn't her. But they used that, something that they did while they were illegally pursuing her at the time, to chain her to his death, even though they did it. The devil is the one lighting the fire on this man, and they're using that to chain her to it. She isn't lighting the fire. She actually has grapes here. She would have liked to mind her business and be an activist, but she wasn't going to take anybody out. You know who's violent and hateful like that, and they like to kill people? This guy. Who, might I say, comes from a lineage or a system of people who are not fully human. Which is why this pentagram is upside down. In reverse, though, it's right side up. Fully human. That was the setup. I believe that they took out their own, willingly or accidentally, and planted it on her just so they have another reason to get her and take her down. Because they didn't have one. She didn't break a law. I believe Cuba knew this, which is why they would not cooperate. They knew the tricks of the white Because back then, that's what they called them. So no, I'm not calling you guys that now. Back then, though, people was calling y'all the white devil. Sorry. They didn't want to cooperate with this divine, grand, powerful hand, the white devil. So they hid her from the book of the law, the Torah. And they also protected her and sealed her with ritual. They weren't going to get that lady. They weren't going to get that lady ever. How many officers was it out there that day? The day that Assata and that other officer was killed? Let me go to Google, Alicia. How many officers were present when Assata Shakur was shot? Let's see. 2 state troopers were present when Assata Shakur was shot during a shootout on the New Jersey Turnpike in May 1973. But Assata was not alone either, because it said a shootout ensued, resulting in the deaths of the officer and one of Shakur's companions, and leaving Shakur and another officer wounded. So that's why I asked, because this makes me feel like it was a few people there when this happened. I want to see why Cuba kept turning down their offers or their requests. The moon. Okay, we know that they hid her. This was spiritual. There was something spiritual. It seems like there was a shift happening in one of the government entities, Cuba's or the United States. Now, if this happened in 73, who was in office in 73? Reagan? No, Reagan was in office when was he in office when I was born? President in 1973. Richard Nixon. That was the shift. That was the shift. There was some shift going on in the government that Cuba wanted no part of. They didn't want to be a part of, I wanted to say the United Nations, but it's like a secret society, United Nations. It was like a secret society of nations that were maybe making treaties or pacts with each other, and maybe not even publicly, but amongst themselves. Whatever it was, there were governments getting on board. Cuba did not want to. They didn't see any value in it for themselves. As a less powerful nation, I don't think that they trusted doing any sort of business with the US government and the other governments involved. I think that they thought once they did, Cuba would be destabilized, and it would have. They would have probably tried to make Cuba a US territory at some point, like Puerto Rico. Cuba didn't want to get involved with this cabal of nations and what they were doing in the first place. They didn't want to be a part of the party. Whatever this was, whatever some nations were doing, and it had to have been off the books and off the records. Cuba did not want to be a part of the party. Their nation would not be able to stand on its own if they had. Cuba wanted to be their own sovereign nation, and they know the tricks of the white devil. I believe that's how they used to call these nations. That is not my opinion on this video. But I think that they thought that they would be destabilized if they joined this little boys club. They definitely, I believe they felt like they would be invaded or run over by the politics led by the United States. And I believe they would have. I believe that the United States did, they were conquering. They were conquering. And I believe that they wanted Cuba to join in. I think that they were offended when Cuba said, no, we won't participate, and no, we won't give you Assata. That may have been when the U.S. found out that Cuba didn't care, that Cuba didn't fuck with them like that, like everybody else did. I think the United States was a little bit taken aback. Like, did you just tell us no? They just told us no. They told us no. That's how I feel like they felt. Look at I've never had so many white people in my life. Never. Where have you guys been? The feds are watching you guys. They pushed the button on the trolls. Assata told me that. She said they watch all of us, legally and illegally. Now, this is what the United States had planned. Through niceties, ooh, Cuba, we'll be, we'll give you this, we'll give you this, we'll be nice, you get to have this. But this is what they really plan to do. Take over. But they were presenting themselves to them like, no, let's be friends. Let's be allies. And then they start seeing that Cuba did not want to be their friend. And I think that this situation, let me ask Assata a question. Why did you go to Cuba? Why Cuba of all places, Assata? Always looking. She knew that they would help her. I'm not sure of the politics of those days, but maybe it was well known in 73 that Cuba didn't want to be BFFs with the United States, so she knew that she would find asylum there. Let me see. I think that's what it is. What was the relationship The Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay. Between Cuba and America in the, okay, well, we'll say the 60s because that's what pops up. The relationship between the U.S. and Cuba in the 1960s and Assata situation happened in 73 was one of deep hostility defined by Cold War tensions and the Cuban government's alliance with the Soviet Union. So they didn't want to be a part of the U.S. and their allies. Following Fidel Castro's rise into power in 59, relations rapidly deteriorated, leading to an economic embargo. That's what this is. Broken diplomatic ties, covert military operations, and the Cuban Missile Crisis. So because of that, she knew that she could find asylum there because they weren't, but they had beef. Things weren't good with the U.S. I like this better. Let me just ask her questions. Let me just ask Assata questions. Assata Shakur, did you shoot that officer like they accuse you of doing? Did you shoot those officers like they accuse that officer like they accuse you of doing, Assata Shakur? Was it your bullet or someone else's bullet? I won't say what I just heard in my mind because I have a lot of trolls here, so I can't, a lot of racist white trolls watching me, so I can't say what I want to say. But as much as the feds watch me, they know that I'm a medium. That's why they watch. They could be watching anybody else, but they be up in here quicker than the busted babies. Y'all know I used to get harassed after I did a reading that a friend asked me to do. I shared this before. One of my first readings on this channel was because a friend of mine in New York reached out to me and said their friend's daughter was missing. Young girl in Niagara Falls. Remember the girl in 2019, 18, I mean 2019 or 20? A student of Buffalo University, and she went missing around Niagara Falls, and they said she jumped into the falls. She was 19. So I was asked by a friend of the family of that girl to just look into it. And he asked me to send whatever I see to her family. I said, okay, well, give them my YouTube channel. I'll just do a reading. And I did. And then he reached out and he said, can you take that information and contact the police? And I said, sure. You know, back then I was like, all right, sure. I was new to YouTube. I wasn't new to doing what I do, but I was new to doing it on a public platform. So I was very green and naive about how the powers that be that have the ability to be monitoring spirits, how they operate. And so I placed the call to the number that they told people to call, and I gave them information. I was probably one of the first ones. I actually called and asked, is there a like a waterfall or something on campus, a body of water? At the time, no details about Niagara Falls had come out. I was speaking to a school officer because they wanted all calls to be turned into the school officers, not the regular Buffalo PD, but the school's officers. And I thought that was interesting. So I did. Well, I kept going back because sometimes I can get possessed or obsessed with spirits, once I connect to them, they can be a little bit possessive too if you let them in. And so she was a clinger. She clung. And for days I would just, try to find more details. And when I did see things, I would call and then give them until the third day. I was reading and something came up in my reading that made me say, oh shit, let me stop calling the authorities because something in this milk ain't clean. The video is still up, but it's from years ago, so you guys will have to scroll to watch it. But I said, let me stop, and I backed out. But by then, I started getting emails from random email addresses. They kind of seemed fake. They would say stuff like Blue Lives Matter at gmail.com, Buffalo PD, or shut the fuck up at Gmail, stuff like that. And they were sending me threatening and harassing emails. They would threaten and harass me on my YouTube channel in the comments, and those profiles would have Blue Lives Matter badges on them. So I did send and forward all of those things I would receive to a friend of mine just to let her know, because I was like, I done, got myself into some shit I wasn't trying to. And then a lady reached out to me, and she said that she was a resident of Buffalo. And I initially thought the lady was crazy at first until I Googled what she said happened to her, and I was able to pull up the article about her. She reached out to me, and I don't know if I should say this, but I stopped dealing with that lady a long time ago because she I don't know if I could help her with what she was going through, but she let me know that I was right on about what I saw happening with the reason why I stopped reaching out to the police and giving them what I saw. She told me that um she had been married to a Buffalo police officer. There's nothing in my nose. She had been married to a Buffalo police officer, and he was a part of some sort of like secret society amongst the police department in a town. I can't remember what the town was. It was either in or around Buffalo. She said the neighborhood she lived in, it was full of law enforcement. And she said after she divorced her husband or tried to leave him, they start trying to paint her as crazy so that he can get the kids. But she let me know that they were only doing that because she knew about their secret group. And she said sometimes they meet at each other's houses and they do rituals. Not lying. This is what a lady told me. And I would sit on the phone and listen to this lady. And this is my first time ever, because this is my first time putting myself on a public platform. So I would just be sitting there like, what? And at first I thought she was crazy, and she had a son. She had two kids, maybe three, but only one of them, I think one of them she had before the she married the police officer. And she told me that her son was gay. I don't know why she told me that. And she told me that she was reaching out to me because one day her son was walking home and they tried to snatch him. And she put her son on the phone and she let me talk to him too. And he told me the story about how he said they tried to snatch him and how they did things like this. And she gave me details about what they do with some of the kids that they snatch. And it had something to do with what I said in the reading about that girl from Buffalo State. She was just corroborating what I saw in my reading. And she told me about the police now coming after her because of what she knew and because they were unsuccessful at snatching her son. And her husband had been unsuccessful at getting her institutionalized. So now they were kind of gang stalking her. And she reached out to me to see if I can help her. And I was like, baby, the fuck I'm supposed to do for you? I ain't say that. I let her talk to me. She told me that they had tried to run her off the road and kill her. One day, the police did, and she sent me an article. And what she said happened, the article said happened. She said they tried to frame her. Apparently, she said they said that she ran a red light. The police were trying to stop her, and she led them on a high-speed chase. But she said they had been following her all day, and she said she was afraid, so she was trying to get away from them. They started chasing her and ran her off of the road. They actually did arrest her because they ran her off of the road. She crashed her car into a ditch. They pulled her out, took her to jail. And she said while she was in jail, they brought in a doctor. And the doctor tried to give her some things. And she said they were trying to make her crazy. Child, after a while, I actually just stopped answering that lady's calls because I was overwhelmed with her and her situation. And to be honest, I wasn't trying to get that deep. I had gotten in too deep. So I forgot why I even told you guys that, but probably because I was talking about the trolls on here, and now they're a little bit quiet, maybe, or I can't see them because Jasmine is deleting them. So they watch. Up next with Lamar, he's probably, are you one of them? Is that why you showing me that smiley face with the hat, like a sheriff's hat? I've been on their radar since 2019, so I'm not surprised when the trolls are here, and my readings come true. So this is why I am so heavily trolled, you guys. It's not a coincidence. Assata Shakur, did you shoot the officer that they said you did? Did you shoot and kill the officer that they accused you of? No, she said she was speeding. She said once they tried to, she said she was driving normally around town, but she noticed that they were following her. But by now she had already, she had reason to be afraid. Um, and so once she realized they were following her, she did say she sped up to try to get away. And of course, they were probably driving fast enough to keep up with her. And she said that that's when they ran off the road. So she did say she was running from them, and they caught up with her and did like a little maneuver, a little pit maneuver to run her off the road. And she ended up crashing her car into a ditch. And then that's when they got out of their car, came into hers, and then grabbed her out of her car and took her to jail. And she said while she was in there, they brought a doctor into her cell and medicated her. She said they were trying to make her crazy. And so I said all that just to let you guys know that the Fed's been lurking around here. But still I rise. Still I rise. Anyways. God bless that lady. I hope she's all right to this day, her and her son and her children. Because she said that man was controlling her through her kids, the kids she had with him. And she didn't want to give up on her babies and let them be subject to the ritual she said that they did in that community full of police officers. That's what she said, not me. That lady said it. So this is all alleged. Anyways, did you shoot that officer, Assata Shakur? No. And the reason why is because she would not have dismantled all the work that they had done and were doing. That would have dismantled all of the activism work that they had built. So no, I don't think that that was a part of her program or her agenda. She knew she'd go to jail forever. She knew she was going to go to jail forever. This was in the 70s. Black people, they wouldn't as up our butt as they is now. They wasn't trying to be our friend back then like they are now. That shit wouldn't have flew, and she knew that. She was a Panther. And that is not what the Panthers were about. They were not out there to unalive the law. Even though they believed in defending themselves and protecting their communities, they were not out there assassinating officers. That is not what they were about. And she knew she was going to go straight to jail if she did. I don't think she had a weapon. I don't think she had anything in her hand to take a life with. So again, I think they lie. I think that officer might have gotten caught up in the rapture of the shootout, but I don't believe she was shooting. All right, Assata. I'm not sure what else to ask you. So I'm going to flip a card and I'm going to ask you to say something about yourself that you want at least my audience to know. I can't say the world. I'm not big enough for that. I don't have that kind of platform. If you want a message to get out of the world into the world, you got to go and tell it to Sloan, because that's the psychic that everybody believes. That's the psychic that both black and white communities put all their faith in. So if you want the whole world to know, you got to go over there. But from my platform, give me one card of what you would like to say that you could never say publicly yourself to at least my platform, my audience. I ain't do it. Don't believe the stories that they told you about me. Don't believe the stories that they told you about me. And don't believe the... I said, go wash your hands. I'm coming, baby. I got to wrap this up, y'all, because the babies, as a matter of fact, I'm sorry, y'all. I got to take a brief intermission, and I'm going to take y'all with me on my little quick TT duty, because last time I chose y'all over my niece, she cried. Hey, boo. Hi, my favorite Nyla honey bunny.
Lauren's over there last week. What are you doing?
I'm working.
Hi, Titi.
Hi, honey. Okay, you guys go play. I'll come out in 10 minutes, okay? Okay. Because last time they was over here and I kept them locked out because I was on live, my sister called me and said, you know, your niece cried because she said TT Dina wouldn't come out and talk to me, and never again will I break my niece's heart. She loves me more than anybody in this world. So I had to bring y'all on TT duty. Yes, I am very loved, and nobody loves me more than my nieces. I got nephews too, but those two love me the most. All right. Asada says, do not believe a lot of the things that you are offered by this divine white hand. If I am being honest, and since I'm reading Assata Shakur, I have no choice but to be a little controversial because I'm a medium. So I will make a disclaimer that I'm not speaking for myself here when I say these, and if this is all according to my imagination. So you don't, if you're offended, you don't have to be here, and this is not truth. Again, I believe the only thing Assata wants us to know is not to trust your white government because they lie. And if they don't outright lie, then they mix the truth with a lie. And so if you mix a truth with a lie, the lie is going to dilute the truth and it's still a lie. The only thing that's pure truth is truth. I also believe that they spend a lot of money and resources taking out their own people. Let me clarify this Ace of Cups in reverse. The Hermit. This is her going away. Exile for protection. Because they took out so many people that she loved. They waged war on Black people. This is her community. And again, the 60s and the 60s was the civil rights era. Assata said the only reason I would need to flee my own government is because they lied on me and I had no choice but to flee for my life because they take out their own people, my people, who were American citizens, Black people. Remember, again, Assata was alive during the civil rights era height, the peak of it. And her case happened in 1973. So back then, yes, Black people were, under attack. We were being hosed down, doing peaceful protests and riots. You had, the Klan. They weren't as active in the 70s because that was the beginning of the hippie era. And they wanted everybody to get high and forget the atrocities that had happened in the United States. That's why they flooded the communities with drugs. They needed everybody to forget and be numb and dumbed down. Because after they did what they did, I think them bitches was scared that the Black people were going to have a reason to get up. Especially when you had all these Black power movements. And all they could do was assassinate the leaders of these movements. But what are you going to do to the people who are inspired, the people who they riled up? What are you going to do for any more of those Black power groups that might pop up after we take one down? We have to poison the whole community so that not another Black empowerment group will come up once we take the ones that are here down. And we want to dumb them down and fill them up with drugs so that their pride and their desire to fight for themselves is gone. And it has been. It was a success. Because y'all ain't fought for nothing but the next president in a long time. Look at the way Black people fought each other about a president. How did we forget that the government works to its benefit? But most of us wasn't around in the 70s, and in this day and age, y'all grandparents, my generation, had firsthand accounts of that thing. But many of you didn't. Y'all didn't. Y'all parents didn't experience it. Y'all grandparents did, but they gone to glory. How quickly we forget, though. Y'all ain't fought for another black empowerment movement, and Black Lives Matters does not count. That shit was not an empowerment movement. Yes, never in history, not even in slavery were we this docile. We were going to the grave fighting in slavery. After the drugs invaded the streets, we ain't fought for shit else but another president. So that was successful. You remember Batman? I do. When I was a little girl, I visited our historical sites because my grandmother owned her own traveling company. Shout out to the Dove Travelers. And this was the same grandmother from whose ancestors was from Luray. Black excellence, if I ever seen it. And we visited Martin Luther King's home. I visited the church in Birmingham that was bombed where those 5 girls passed away. And that was my first experience as a medium. Because when I walked into that basement as a young girl, I might have been 10. When I walked into that basement, the first thing I saw was 4 bodies piled up on top of each other. And then the tour guide said, this is the corners where they found their bodies piled up on top of each other. And I asked to go to the restroom, and I went into the restroom, and I sat in the stall on the floor, and I cried. I cried because, for one, I saw it in my mind before the tour guide said it, and then I got overwhelmed with their spirits. All I could do was go in the bathroom and sob. When I got back from that trip, they have a gift shop in that store, in that church, in the lobby of that church. And one of the things that I had was a little booklet, and it had the girls' faces on it, and it told the story of them and things like that. And before I knew I was a medium, because I was too young to know, what I did, well, I suppose they call it automatic writing. I was possessed by those girls after I went into that church. When I got home, I was obsessed. I just sat down on my bed and I drew their faces, all 4 of them. I just sat there and scribbled their faces. I could not stop. I was just drawing their faces, drawing their faces, drawing their faces, looking at their pictures on that book. And it's like my hand would not stop. I just had to draw their faces. And when I was done, I felt so drained and tired. It took me about 15 minutes to do, but I was so tired. I laid down in my bed and went to sleep. And then I dreamt about them. So that was my first time that I knew I probably, it wasn't my first time, but it was my first experience as a medium. It was so overwhelming. But I visited all those places. I've touched those places. I've been to many of those places that are near and dear to our Black American history. And so I do remember those things. But it's unfortunate that since the 70s, when they diluted the streets with drugs, we have been docile ever since. And Assata said, don't trust. According to what I believe Assata Shakur's spirit is saying, the great white devil. According to what I believe Assata Shakur's spirit is saying. I had to go seek refuge in a place that is not even my home country, because my home country waged war against its own citizens. And I think Assata, she passed away recently, so she's watching Black people not fight for anything since those days. She's had to sit back and watch us. Drugs. They gave us drugs. You would have had to be here for a while, pill boy, to be bored. But I know you haven't been here for a while. You just got here. Assata Shakur, why do I have so many Caucasian trolls here today? I usually have trolls, but they usually have profiles that don't really have pictures. These trolls today have come with a lot of Boldness. I can see their profiles. They're white. Look, here's one. Carlos Big Daddy 420. Crystal. I don't even know if you guys are trolls, but I've never had this many white people in any of my lives. Never. Never, ever. Assata, I want you to tell me, where are all these white people coming from? I've never seen that. Assata, you tell me. Because y'all know I'll read trolls smack dab in the middle of my life. Okay, Crystal, I accept. I'm just a little nervous because I'm getting troll heavy right now. And yes, this card means not all of them are here to steal, kill, and destroy, but they linger. They're lingering. And they're usually dormant, non-active until they need to be. Christ is your king. So they're always around, but they don't usually become active until they need to be. And it's the topic I'm talking about, Assata Shakur and her death. And the powers that be are not happy with us celebrating her. They don't want us to celebrate her because they wanted to be the one to take her out. They wanted to do it. And yes, the page is a messenger. They sent the trolls. Assata Shakur, is the feds watching? Who you would call the great white devil? Are they watching my live right now? Anybody's name, Lutzenberger? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the great white hope right there. Are they watching now? In front of all of my regular viewers who aren't trolls, are the feds watching? Or am I being paranoid? Now, if I'm paranoid, then I would like to see the moon reverse. The moon reverse can be paranoid. The Nine of Wands can be a bit paranoid. And if I don't see either one of those, I ain't paranoid. Are the feds watching? Always. Watching to see what's going to come of what I do here. And they know that I'm legit. Otherwise, I wouldn't be dressed in these royal garbs. Of course, the man is watching. Ain't that the man? Sure it is. They watch. Some things they let fly. And then sometimes they want me to be silent. And the silence is represented by the white rose. They also, I believe, are a little bit impressed. Why? Why watch me? Why not watch the most popular psychic on YouTube? I have a very small platform, and I ain't nobody. And according to these trolls, I'm a mad woman. So why watch Beyond the Veil with Adina? The Hierophant reverse. Now, upwards, the Hierophant is somebody that you learn from. They're a teacher, and they have authority, even spiritually. How else would this be a pope who has people learning from him? In reverse, though, it's not like I'm teaching them anything new, but what I'm saying here, they would agree with. The 5 is a shift. 5s represent shifts. So they watch, because what I say here on my platform, I don't always just read celebrities. I read the shit that matters sometimes. And they watch to see what kind of movements can be born from here. What kind of information I'm letting out over here. and they handle me accordingly based on what kind of topics I read. And it's their platform to do so. They run this town. They give me the platform to be the psychic, but they know I am one. Otherwise, I wouldn't show up as the high priestess. Definitely watching because I'm talking about Assata Shakur. Definitely. And that I'm going to conclude because I don't think I don't think I have any more questions for her. You guys have any questions, concerns, or comments before I go? I want to go and hug on these babies before they go home. I was going to do a members live, but we will be I've actually finished reclaiming the law. I'm done with the Constitution on Thursday because tomorrow I am doing, tomorrow I might come on live and I might take, actually, I'm not. Tomorrow I'm going to use as my day off. Wednesday I have a blockbuster / road opener ceremony that I'm doing for myself. I did open it up for you guys if you want to jump in at the last minute, but I didn't advertise it as a group ceremony because it was personal. And then I was talking about it on live the other day, and I just said if you want to, you can join. Thursday, though, I will be back here doing these regular lives, and on Thursday, members, we will start our next Reclaiming the Prophecy. I will go from reclaiming the prophecies to reclaiming the law, back to reclaiming another prophecy, to reclaiming another section of the law. So I'm excited because I was getting bored reclaiming the Constitution, even though I needed to set up that up because it was relevant after us reclaiming the book of Revelation. Nevertheless, we will be reclaiming another a prophecy that has been claimed by somebody else that probably isn't theirs to claim. And me reclaiming the prophecy is me decoding and translating them into layman's terms as they have not been done in this generation that I know of, or at least in its entirety. Because I have the ability to do so as an oracle. Somebody just sent me some money, probably for the ceremony. I don't know who that was, but when I get off of live, I will find out who it is, and then I'll write your name down in the Lamb's Book of Life, because this is where I write everybody's names when I do ceremonies, and it's even sealed like the Lamb's Book of Life with the number only I know. So only I am qualified to unseal the Book of the Lamb, and inside, all of your names are written down on the new heaven and the new earth, just like in Revelation. Shout out to the feds. Hey, shout out to the policia. Policia, policia. Shout out to the feds and the government. Shout out to y'all for doing your big one. No shade over here. I'm just a messenger. Love you guys. See you Thursday. Bye.